also having issues you're getting talked
Yeah, we'll talk about that. That's,
Okay, do you want me, I'm contacting dispatch right after the meeting. Do you want me to have them pick you up where I'm gonna have them pick up the ladies at 375 Jackson? Okay,
sure.
okay. I'll get that squared away.
You're great.
Okay.
Thanks.
No, I apologize for the inconvenience. I'm sorry.
I apologize for starting the meeting, August installment, as David likes to call it, of the TAC meeting. I apologize for starting 5 minutes late, but that just means we're gonna end 5 minutes early, that's all. So we're gonna be on time. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kevin for attendance.
Chair Fenley, absent. Vice Chair Paulson.
Here.
Sam Jasmine.
Did you see my phone?
Patsy Murphy.
Here.
Ken Rodgers.
My phone? Oh,
I believe he's online.
Yeah.
Would that be that KPA?
Jeff Danes, absent. Carrie Sheldon, absent. Michelle Severson, absent. Eric Henriksen.
Here.
Patty Thorson.
Here.
Heidi Myrie. Claudia.
As you're calling the absence for those excused absences.
Correct.
by the way.
Claudia Fugly.
Here.
Chris Liefeld. All right. And Mr. Chair, we do not have a quorum.
All right, so since we do not have a quorum, we really, we can do other presentations if they're here, I guess. But we can't really do any official business, so we won't approve the minutes or anything like that. So if you want to adjust our schedule and call it in order for me, that'd be great. Sorry, I should have looked at it. It did look at it before. It's different. Yeah, so we'll call. Let's call, is it about the push button Annunciator? An upgrade, right? And that would be Jasmine and Jacob.
Yes.
Correct.
All right. Thank you. Welcome to the committee.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee. My name is Jasna Hadzic-Stanek. I'm a senior project administrator with Metro Transit Information.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jacob Brown. I'm the manager of the Transit Information Field Operations team. We're here today to represent the Transit Information Department of Metro Transit with a mission to support riders with accurate, customer-friendly information and a vision that every rider has timely, accurate information so they can ride with confidence and ease, which I think will blend well with our presentation today.
Thank you. So the main reason we are here today is to provide an overview of a project, which is to upgrade the push-button Annunciator system across our Metro Transit network system. So in terms of the agenda and overview, we'll start by providing some project overview and background, followed by project goals. And then share the project timeline, and then lastly, talk about TAC involvement in this project. There we go. So first, to define the push buttons. Push buttons is responsible for delivering real-time information to low or no vision passengers through audible transit information. As you can see on this visual here, we have a low vision individual who is standing next to a pylon or a vertical structure that's located in our transit centers or bus rapid transit stops, and there is a button that can be pushed in order to get information about departures and routes. We currently, our agency supports 450 plus annunciators, as I mentioned, across our system, which includes bus rapid transit stations and transit centers. So why now? Why are we looking to reevaluate this system? So currently, our push buttons are an aging equipment. They have been in our system for over 10 to 15 years, starting with the A line, and some of those components are no longer even available from manufacturers. So the hardware components are at the end of life. It's also difficult to track when they aren't working. Currently, we do rely on a reactive approach where we hear from passengers or riders who are telling us if they're not working, and our audits, which are done regularly, are more focused on auditing for quality more so than functionality. And then also the data is not in parity with our visual data. So because they operate on separate networks, as you know, on our pylons, we also have the digital signs, the real-time signs. So at times, those are not always in parity or aligned with the push button, the information that comes through the push buttons. So because of this, we made a decision to undergo this process to replace with new technology. And this replacement strategy will contain 3 phases. First one, looking at technology evaluation. So first, we need to look at a broader evaluation of what's out there currently available. And then as part of the second phase, we would select 1 or 2 vendors that are available and do a pilot, and that's where we envision having an engagement component. And then lastly, implementation. So to just go through some of our goals for this project, I touched on some of these, but first one is, most importantly, to provide audio content that meets ADA requirements as outlined in the Americans with Disabilities Act. Secondly, we want to be, as I talked about, proactively, we want to respond to issues and outages rather than relying on riders. We also want to reduce mean time to recover. As an example, we had an outage that lasted a week, and we had to get the vendor to get it back up working, so we want to be able to do that ourselves. Third, we want to reduce the manual labor required to produce new content. Currently, we do rely on actual human beings to record their voice. So we want to be able to automate that and be able to develop that without that additional resource. And then a fourth goal is to reduce system complexity. Some of that could include, for example, reducing noise pollution, so allowing for adjustable audio levels based on time of day and location. Right now, it kind of is one wholesale approach. It is as it is currently. So in terms of the project timeline, we started working on this over earlier this year, really developing the business case and project goals and background to initiate this project involving all stakeholders, internal stakeholders, and now bringing this to you all. And we're also now in the process of engaging with a consultant who will help us really undergo that nationwide evaluation of the best systems out there. And then we're hoping to do the pilot early next year, followed by another vendor procurement for the final implementation, currently expected sometime in late 2026 or 2027 and beyond. So we come to you today to really see how should we best engage with people living with disabilities, how would TAC like to be part of the usability testing during the pilot phase, and then our last question is about whether TAC would like to support additional user research for low or no vision riders. We have a product manager who's kind of taking a holistic view at all of our systems across the network. So we just wanted to kind of gather feedback of how we should engage with the TAC moving forward. So with that, we will stand for questions, and thank you for your time today.
Thank you. Any questions?
This is Ken. I have some questions.
Go ahead, Ken. I have some as well, but I suspect yours should trump mine. So,
Sure. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
Hello, Jasna and Jacob. Nice to see you again, Jasna. This is you mentioned content messages, but I didn't hear a clear indication of what is the content intention for these audible button to release once somebody presses the button?
That's a very good question. I can start to answer that, and then Jacob, please chime in. So that's something that will be determined based on the vendor that we select, and that's the type of input that we would be looking to receive from you all. So as you know, right now, the only content that currently comes out, and Jacob, please correct me if I'm wrong, is the departure times, so what is being shown on the real-time sign. And then at the end, we do have some PSA messages, specifically around our IRA product, that the app for low vision or no vision passengers. Ideally, we would be looking to be able to communicate whether that stop is closed, for example, and then again, looking for any feedback from this group and during our pilot on what other content should be played.
Yeah, just to
Sure.
add.
Oh, go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
I was going to say, just to add to that, right now the system is set up so that way, in order to provide parity, we're only providing route and schedule information, but also due to limitations in the technology and the fact that they're pre-recorded, we don't have that flexibility to build in things like cancellation messages. So when service is canceled because of the, you can get really technical very fast, but the way the data feeds in, the system just isn't able to denote that. So some of that flexibility that Jasna referenced around stop closures, detour information, things that we know our customers really rely on that may not be as readily available. In the digital displays, we have the rider alerts that will pop up, letting folks know if like a bus is on detour or if a stop is closed. Unfortunately, the system isn't able to process that because of the use of live voices. So one of the biggest goals with this is to be able to automate some of that text that we have there for rider alerts into a more automated approach so that people don't have to scramble to find the information. On top of other things like PSAs and marketing messages, potentially looking at different languages. Kind of depends on what the technologies out there have.
Sure. So to both of you, I invite both of you to have a conversation, for us to have a conversation offline. I have some very specific parameters that I would like to see included in such a pilot or a project moving forward that would piggyback off the Olmsted plan that the state is currently undergoing that involves Metro Transit and the Department of Transportation. And just a quick brief summary. One of the questions we've been dealing with from the Metro Council side of looking at new goals for Olmsted, and for those of you that are not aware, our state is every state is required to have Olmsted plans, and Olmsted plans are the state's plan to get people that are currently in segregated settings like institutions, group homes, nursing homes, and to move them into the community of their choice so they can have services in the most integrated setting. It's a federal requirement that our state has these plans. We've had them for the last 5 years, but the plans have been, my words, less than ideal. They've really been poor. So new plans are being developed with people with disabilities so that the plans and the goals include things that are focused on the disability community and helping the disability community move in an area that they want to live in effectively. So I have some very specific thoughts around the kind of information that needs to be provided. We've been having these discussions in our Met Council agency team meetings, and Jerry Sutton is our team lead She would be good, a person for either of you to check in with, to see how we might coordinate a little bit to make sure that we're all talking the same language and creating the same goals. One of the things that we've been talking about is it doesn't do much good from a person's perspective who wants to use the system to only know what time the next bus or train is scheduled to arrive. More specifically, the information we need is, when is the next train or bus coming? That would help us figure out whether we want to wait or do something different. But just to know what the schedule is, I mean, we have lots of ways to look at a schedule. And so the kind of information that would focus on people with disabilities is, how much longer do we have to wait to the next arrival? And it could be an estimated time, but it should be based on actual movement of the bus or train. So looking at that kind of a outcome could really help design the kind of vendor you're looking for to provide that kind of information. The other thing is, we have text-to-speech models today that are not robotic. They're very voice-like, they're very human-sounding, that text could be created and that could be verbalized using the text-to-speech models. So we don't need a human being to record every announcement anymore.
I agree.
A good example of that that's being employed now is at the airport. We're starting to equip gates at the airport with text-to-speech monitors that actually take what speech is made by a gate attendant when they use the microphone in free form to make announcements to those around the gate. We're converting that into text so that deaf people can see the text as being, they can read the text. Again, meeting the accessibility of all travelers. So there are these systems available that could be employed and integrated into this kind of a system. But I applaud you for doing this. An Annunciator just giving standardized rote information was not the intention. The intention was for somebody to use an Annunciator initially to be able to get information about the next arriving bus or train, so that they could make a decision if that's what they want to wait for, or make other plans. So I'm happy to meet with you separately to have this, deeper discussion if that's helpful.
That would be great.
Thank you. Thank you, Ken. I was on the same lines of that. I believe that the Annunciator, you talked about the bells and whistles, or we could add stuff to it later. What kind of stuff we could add to it? Obviously, if we added to it, it would add length of the message, so you couldn't add too much stuff on there, right? But more importantly, we're not getting the right information right from the start. We're not getting the next bus and the next bus after that, because sometimes one bus comes and is full, right? So if you give me two buses, when I push that button, I'm gonna be a happy person, right? But most of the time when I push that button, it doesn't work, right? It doesn't work in the wintertime either. So what do we do in the wintertime when we have 6 months, 7 months of really gross weather and sloppy weather, and it's not working anyway? So, I'm concerned about us wasting our time looking at the system and saying, well, how do we overhaul the whole system? But I agree with Ken. The technology is there. We can use the real-time signage, and we can use the buttons for the information that we need. But let's not try to sell us something down the road that we could actually benefit from today if we just had the information that you guys know, right? If we know when the next two buses are coming, That's good. I mean, if you can give us more information, like there's a detour, that's gonna go on for 6 months, that might be beneficial. But if it's a detour that's only gonna be a day or two, you're right, it'd be hard to change that on the system, right? Because by the time you change it on the system, then you have to change it back. So I get that, right? So that's gonna be hard, but I agree with Ken, we should form a subcommittee or something, and Ken could lead this, and he could show you that some of the technology that's currently out there, because he's right, we do use it at the airport. So we could use it here too. And it's obviously, we are using it or trying to, but the fact of the matter is, I think we cut corners, because we push out, about 50,000 messages on our system a day, right? But really, do we need to push out that many messages? Are we pushing out the right stuff and missing some of the stuff that we need? That's my thought. So Ken, if you want to make a motion to do that, we could do it, but I mean, we couldn't vote on it officially until we get a quorum, but I think that would be good work for us to do offline.
So Chair, my suggestion would be, let Jasna and Jacob and I meet offline, have conversations, and then I'll let you know next month whether I think this needs to be an ongoing task force of some sort or work group. But for now, I think the point of the presentation is giving us heads up that this is on the development cycle and trying to get our input. And I invite anybody else that has knowledge of our system that might want to be a part of this conversation to join me. I don't want to hog all the meetings myself, but I'm deeply involved in this work and the work we're visioning to move forward. So I think it makes sense anyway for me to be involved, but I'm not trying to butt anybody else out of the process. So if there's anybody else that could add value, please speak up.
Certainly, thank you, Ken. You're doing great work, and I'll call you and we'll have a deeper conversation offline. But I appreciate your input in this.
Okay.
Anybody else have any questions? But
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
you bet.
Just some thoughts, I guess. What happens if in 2026 the spring pilot just is horrible? I'm thinking worst case scenario. Do we have to go back, or do you have to go back and start from scratch? Or how? The reason I'm asking is the thought
I don't
about
want to waste all that.
delayed implementation of something when you're at the end of the life cycle for a particular item. You're hoping this one works so that you can start the replacement, but then we couldn't get it off the ground, and now we have all these facilities that are at the end of the life cycle. They're all coming under disrepair, and how do we service that? Like that thought process. I'm just wondering, has that kind of been discussed or thought about?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take this one. Thank you. That's a great question. At the risk of sounding, I don't even know how I want to put this. Failure really isn't an option at this point. So the way this will be approached is, as we look at the pilot, the idea there is to bring on some vendors that have done, extensive market research, that we have products that are tested and proven, maybe not in our agency and our environments, but we're not looking necessarily to try something that's never been implemented. And I think that's important because the goal of this is to find proven, tested technologies that can be implemented into the Metro Transit system. And that will happen not all at once, just because of the feasibility of it all. So with over 450 locations, the goal is to keep the current system running while we do this pilot. So there is sort of a fail-safe. It's not the greatest, knowing that our system right now has challenges and that we struggle to keep up with it, but it is something that we can continue to maintain while we advance this project, looking for a new solution. So from my perspective, my team is the one that's charged with trying to keep this thing up and running. We don't really see, like, if this doesn't work out, that it's all over. It's say, okay, well then, there are going to be, I'm confident, a list of vendors and products out there that we can continue going through, but we will continue to leave the current system in place and continue to put resources into it as best we can to keep it running until we can make a full wholesale changeover to something new. So I think what I'm trying to say is that there's not going to necessarily be a gap between things. So if something doesn't work out, we just keep running with what we've got, knowing that our time is limited, and partially because of Jasna noted, there's some components that are no longer manufactured, but we can also find other components. I don't want to say it's duct tape and Band-Aids holding it together, but after 15 years, in some cases, it kind of is. And we have a team of technicians who are really good about trying to work with things that don't exist anymore. So this is my way of saying we are committed to keeping at least a base level of service that we have right now while we go through this process, with the goal of being able to provide a better service when it's over. But, there are landmines along the way that we don't know what we're going to encounter. But I still feel very confident that the worst case scenario isn't going to play out, because we know that in the marketplace there are lots of technologies and products out there that could fit our need. It's just a matter of finding the one that works best for the current setup here at Metro Transit.
So getting into the details of that, there's an engineering consult who, might be providing recommendations maybe on multiple vendors, and then the pilot program would then institute different products, let's call them, at different locations to test their ability of, essentially, I think a lot of the input or things you're trying to figure out here has to do with behind the scenes, things we don't see, right? The maintenance of it, the programming of it, all of that kind of stuff, right? So we're looking at multiple different vendors, multiple different products, not just testing one.
Correct.
Okay.
So we do have precedent for this within transit information. It's something we kind of pride ourselves on in a lot of the technology procurements that we do. We actually partner with the Met Council Procurement Department to engineer what we call innovative procurements for these types of technologies, because typically you just put out a bid and you get whatever the lowest cost is. Instead, what we've done is structure these things around a pilot plus implementation approach, using whether it's consulting firms, engineering firms in some cases, to help advise us on things that are available in the marketplace, and then developing a request for proposals based on that initial analysis and understanding of our system. We put out a procurement and we'll say, we'll award, this is not necessarily for this one, but it could be, we'll award up to 2 or 3 different vendors who will come in at the same time at very specific locations, and they will test their product out for a certain period of time, at which point we try to do an evaluation, not only on the behind the scenes stuff that probably only matters to those of us inside the department, but also looking for customer engagement, rider engagement, understanding what the user experience is. And in the end, evaluating that pilot to say, there was one vendor that stood out that we feel confident now spending that money and resources on implementing it wholesale. And I say this current example, we did this with our real-time sign replacement project, which is getting underway right now. Over the last year and a half, we piloted 2 different technologies with different vendors for over a year, just to see how the technology stood up in the environment in our different locations. And in the end, awarded a contract to the vendor whose product was far and away, had the most uptime, the most readability, the most flexibility, so that we didn't get boxed into something that maybe looks nice on paper, but in practice doesn't work. And so that's why we're really trying to do it this way, especially with this product. We want to make sure that anything that we put out there actually works for our customers, first and foremost, because that's who this is intended for. But on the back end, trying to maintain a system that has no proactive capabilities has been really challenging. So it's sort of, trying to help everybody in the grand sense have a system that can be usable and maintainable.
Thank you for that thorough answer. I would defer to Ken and your kind of off-site meeting about how far TAC might get involved. But I think it would be beneficial during the pilot period to at least try and see if we can find someone from our committee who might be able to provide some input on the different vendors and how the experience is for them. That could help, inform your decision matrix, if you will. I would be curious, once you have reached a recommendation from the different vendors, kind of how that laid out. I know a lot of that will probably be the things we don't see, how it can program the flexibility and things like that. So I'd be more focused on the functionality from an ADA perspective, which everyone's going to have to meet it anyways, but also that experience of the user and feeling if it's meeting some of the goals which you outlined. So
Absolutely.
Appreciate your presentation and your time.
Thank you.
And to that point, I think we still have a little bit more work to do on this, and I think Ken will give us an update next month, so we can make sure we add that to our schedule already. That's one item. Next month. Thank you.
Thank you.
both.
Thank you.
And next, we have, what do we have next?
Metro Mobility?
Metro Mobility, Julie, right? Julie, you're gonna come tell us some things?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for having me here today.
You're quite welcome, Julie. What do you got for us?
I've got
Julie?
I'm just bringing our most updated monthly stats for everybody to review.
Nice.
These are through the end of July. Okay,
Why?
that little button's not working, Kevin. There we go. I know that this performance matrix, this kind of explains it all. I think everybody is pretty up to date as to what they mean. I've left it in the packet in case you needed it as a resource going forward. Do you notice our year-to-date KPI data, our on-time performance? On-time performance for ADA trips is at 93.5%. Non-ADA is at 93.3%. And total trips overall are at 93.5%. In that time, since year-to-date, we have transported 930,000 passengers so far. So that's quite remarkable considering that our on-time is as high as it is now. I do know that from the stats that you all have looked at, and we'll take a look at the next slide here, you do see a bit of a dip in our on-time performance in the last couple of months. You're going to notice that starts right during that construction season startup, kind of bounces back down, and now as roads are starting to open up a little bit more, our on-time is starting to climb a little bit more. We are expecting August to be a little bit higher than July. Any questions on that?
Chair, this is Ken.
Appointment time, that is, go ahead.
Ken has a question.
I'm sorry. So for those of us that cannot see the presentation or at the same time access our assistive technology to read it to us aloud, can you review the numbers that you're talking about for each of those?
I will. Would you like me to step back to the on-time performance before moving forward?
For me personally, I don't need the first slide because those were all at 93%, so you can move to the next.
Okay. The next one that we're looking at is our year-to-date for appointment time performance. Appointment time performance is if you have an appointment time, we need to have you arrive there within 30 minutes of that appointment time, not their scheduled pickup time. So we are held accountable to both the time that we pick you up at your scheduled time as well as your appointment time. Currently, our ADA trips are running at 92.3% on time. Our non-ADA trips are running at 91.8% on time for appointments. Total overall is 92.3%. We have transported 281,000 passengers that have appointment times. We've had 5,872 early trips overall, and late trips of 15,898. So we see these wonderful statistics of our on-time performance, and yet it's what we concentrate on is bringing those early trips in line.
Hold on one second, Julie. Ken, is she answering your questions? Is she giving you the information you need?
Yes, but I have a specific question with the appointment time performance. So I want to put this into context. So the 15,000 people that are being delivered to their appointments beyond their appointment time, outside of their appointment time, not early, but late.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, health clinics have a policy that if you're more than 10 minutes late, you cannot be seen. You need to then reschedule, have another appointment another day, and come back. And so you're not able to be seen. That adds an extra burden and hardship on the person with a disability who was late to their appointment because their ride didn't get them there on the appointed appointment time window, for the window that meets the healthcare agency policy.
Right.
So we have a policy of Metro Transit and a policy of healthcare clinics that don't match. How can we address this situation so we don't have 15,000 individuals that have to reschedule and make another appointment on another day to try it again?
No, I understand what you're saying, and that's where our concentration for improvement is focused. And you're right, there is a gap between the Metro Mobility policy, which we go exactly to the minute of the appointment time, versus what the medical community will allow anywhere from a 5 to a 15-minute grace period. If we added that 5 to 15-minute grace period, I don't know what the total of late trips are, but it is something that I can research. In any case, that's still 15,000 people who are being extremely inconvenienced, and our concentration is to improve that. I do not have 2024 KPIs in front of me. I do know that we've seen significant improvement in on-time performance, and I don't want to guess off the top of my head, but I do know that we were below a 90% compliance in 2024. So the effort is showing it is improving.
Thank you. Proceed.
Okay, and again, I would just like to see more. I don't know.
To see it improve quicker than what it is improving, is that's what you're saying, Mr. Rodgers?
Exactly, because, 15,000 individuals having to reschedule and come back a different day is not acceptable to those 15,000 people. So we need to really improve that to avoid adding an additional hardship to people's lives that we're trying to serve in the first place. So to me, this is one of the most critical components when you have a medical appointment that you're trying to get to and you're not able to get somebody there at that scheduled time. That could really be a major hardship for somebody.
I sincerely agree with you 100%, and why that's one of the KPIs that I report each month. I think it's vital that we keep our eye on the ball, and that's forthcoming in our concentration for improvement.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Proceed, please.
Again, the next slide is just kind of showing the appointment time, both ADA and non-ADA, over the course of the beginning of the year. Again, we do see a bit of a slide in April, May, June, July, as the construction season starts to really kick into play. Not unlike when we have an extremely snowy month, we'll see a reduction in our on-time performance or our appointment time performance there. We do see that it's coming back up in July. And again, our anticipation for the month of August will be higher.
Why do you anticipate August being higher?
I'm expecting, or I'm hoping, that we're going to hit at least a minimum of 93% for August. That's projection so far. We do record it on a daily and watch it on a daily basis.
Okay, thanks.
So this is Ken again.
Go ahead, Ken.
Julie, I know when I'm riding in a car with somebody that's driving, and they use one of the GPS systems. I don't know which one, Apple, Google. I mean, you name it. But oftentimes, the ride will be rerouted because the app knows that there's construction slowdown ahead or in the route somewhere. And so those are real-time corrections to be able to get somebody to their destination in a more timely manner. Do we have access to those systems for our drivers, or do our drivers just use whatever data is given to them that may or may not be in the moment accurate?
The product that's being used right now by the Rangers is interconnected with the Trapeze, the scheduling software that we use. And it is somewhat behind as far as its adaptability to construction zones. Google Maps, for instance, is actually updated quicker than our Rangers are. It's part of the reason why we're pushing the DriverMate pilot. That DriverMate pilot will have an up-to-date, working strictly off of, or apps similar to the Google Maps, where it's live day information instead of just map information. Another issue that we've had with the Rangers is that they had old maps in place. We've recently updated those maps. We've seen slight performance improvement there. That will continue, but our goal is to implement the DriverMate application, which will give real-time road conditions to the drivers as they're performing the trips. Now, our hope is that DriverMate would be readily available before the fall. At this point, we're pushing it closer to the midwinter.
Right, and I also am very aware that we have been using the Trapeze system forever. Right. And for many paratransit systems across the country, Trapeze has been the only player for a very long time. But I understand today that there are municipalities across the nation that are venturing out of using Trapeze and using other systems that are more modern and more in tune with today's technology. Is this something that we're looking at under the hood?
Well, let me start at the beginning of that question because it's rather multifaceted. Trapeze is by far the best scheduling software that's available on the market, and that's why we continue to use it. It's also the most expensive product on the market. When you refer to the modern-based platforms, they're platforms very similar to what's being used by Uber or Lyft, and do not allow the better management of productivity and ensuring appointment and scheduled time are being adhered to. That's usually one or the other, as well as the modern platforms that you're referring to being very similar to an Uber-based or on-demand in the live day. Trapeze is by far one of the most superior products out there. Are we looking at others? Yes. Have we piloted other platforms? We have. Echolane is a perfect example. We piloted that in 2023, 2024, somewhere in there, if not sooner. Forgive me that I shouldn't pull that off the top of my head when it's inaccurate. And it was not able to manage the flow or the volume that we do.
And what product was that again, Julie?
I'm sorry?
What product was that again?
It was used on a transit link. The pilot was used on a transit link type of system, very similar to Metromobility, a few more regulations as far as how you can book trips, where trips can be booked to. It's an interface that we use in order to, it's kind of like a fixed route feeder transit link. Our purpose is to help people to be able to use the fixed route system in the transit link, where Metromobility is designed for individuals that have difficulty or cannot use the fixed route system or ADA certified.
Sure. Okay. Thank you.
So in trying some of these new platforms, the greatest question we have to ask is, can it handle the volume for which we are currently providing? But Mr. Rodgers, I do not mean to say that that question is not a valid question. It's something that we're looking at always. We're always very open-minded that we're always receiving feedback. That feedback is not lost. It is researched. It is reviewed. And I'm very open to any ideas you'd like to push my way too.
Nice.
Yeah, I do have a seed that I would like to plant, and I've tried to share this with others involved with paratransit or metro mobility, or even just fixed route as much as possible. But we have in our archives, we have complete data for all of the ride requests we've had in past years. And my thought or suggestion is to take the data we have compiled for ride requests for 2024 or even 2023, I don't care which year, but take all of that data, create a research project and give it to either the Centers for Transportation Studies at the U or the Humphrey Institute School of Public Policy, where their seniors have to create a senior project, and have them run our request data for rides through an AI model to see if there isn't another model that we might use that's more efficient than what we currently are resulting with. It's completely a research project looking at old data, but we have old data. So if we could put to use some of the AI modeling that transportation systems are now using and get a glimpse. I mean, we may find out they can't touch what we do already, but we might find out that a different model would better suit the efficiency of our system. So I just think it's something to look into, developing an opportunity for a research project at these entities that this is what they do. They do this kind of research and then provide us with a report so that we could see for ourselves, are we using the most efficient and effective software and model, or would we be beneficial to look at something different?
Well, I think it's always beneficial to explore ideas and see what can help us to improve. So I think that's a valid item to be looking into, and I'll follow up with that as well. Because of my previous experience, I have worked with so many different platforms, and by far Trapeze is the most superior, the highest performing software that we have available on the market at this
Julie,
point.
I'm just going to go off the record a little bit because I know we don't have a quorum anyway. And I'm going to tell you, quit drinking the Kool-Aid, right? Because if you talk to the drivers out there, the ones that actually are providing the service, they say Trapeze is not the best software.
I think what they're going to say is that the Rangers is not the best
And
hardware.
also what I'd like to tell you is that there's a pilot project out there with some of the drivers. I don't know if it's just on my zone or if it's in all zones, where they do get to use their cell phones. And they are mapping on their cell phones when they get lost through construction. Or is that still going on, or is that not allowed,
Well, like I said, we've updated the map, and so that has eliminated quite a bit of that, but it is not perfected.
So are we allowing them to do it in certain zones? Are they not allowed to do it? Are they doing it illegally? I mean, how do they get to use their cell phone?
Forgive me, Daryl, I think I may be misunderstanding your question. Are we allowing them to do what?
Use their cell phones as their
Oh.
GPS.
When their maps are not working, when their ranger's not working, when their what do you call that? Terminal or their device is not working that correctly. I know in certain zones you're allowing certain drivers. I don't know if it's just the daytime drivers or the evening drivers, but I know in certain, like in my zone particularly, some drivers get to pull out their cell phones. And what I'm saying is that a common practice that we're doing?
No.
Because we're testing it, why do some drivers get to do it and then other drivers don't?
I will have to look into that. It's not a practice that we send with my blessing anyway. It's a distraction for drivers to be on their phones. It creates an unsafe situation.
I'm not saying they're putting us in an unsafe
Okay.
situation. I'm saying they're literally stopping the bus. They're literally going off the bus most of the time, connecting on their phone because they're saying that they get the best communication that way, or they get the best map that way. And they'll do this multiple times a day throughout the day.
Well, I'll look into that. I have not received feedback from drivers on that. Most drivers are reaching out to dispatch, and dispatch is able to use their version and assist the drivers to their
So is
destination.
dispatch telling them that they can use their phones? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you telling me that they're not allowed to use their phones?
I told you I will look into that and find out. Okay, Daryl?
All right, that sounds good.
Okay.
I mean, but those are just basic
Jasna.
things. We should know those things ahead of time.
Say that again?
Those are just basic questions. You should know those things ahead of time. You should know whether that's a current policy or not.
It is not a current policy for drivers to use their cell phones in any way while operating the vehicle.
Okay,
Sam Jasmine.
go ahead, Sam.
Hi, I apologize for being late in a meeting. I was.
Okay. Does that make us a quorum yet?
My question is, well, not really a question, but a comment, and it just flows into this, that I have several times set up my cell phone with because I use Google Maps for a route for the driver, because I will say that I don't have the knowledge you do, in all due respect, in regards to comparing Trapeze to any other system, but I will say, hands down, that the Google Maps has much better guided us around a lot of, especially in the summer, construction and traffic slowdowns that happen because of it, and rerouting. So there is a big difference between what the Google Maps do and what Trapeze does, which I'm sure you're aware of. But I just want to let you know that me as a customer, I have had to do it, or I have wanted to do it several times, certainly to save myself inconvenience. So anyway, that's my comment.
Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
Okay, sorry. Proceed. Sorry about that, Julie. You're doing good, by the way.
Oh, that one didn't work. Let's try that again. Now we move on to onboard time, the maximum time on board. Our year-to-date for 2025 ADA trips is 96.8%, non-ADA 98.2%, and overall of 97.2%. Again, that's at 930,000 passengers since the beginning of the year. That means that we are not exceeding the onboard time. People are not being held hostage on board longer than they should be. I know those ride times can seem long, but it is a shared ride service. And again, the graph is just showing that overall, both the combined of ADA and non-ADA over the period since the beginning of January. Any questions on onboard time?
This is Ken. Julie, do you have an idea or a thought as to why the non-ADA has a higher percentage than the ADA?
Far fewer trips.
Okay.
Significantly
Thank
lower
you.
number of trips, I think is our greatest.
okay.
ADA is a very high volume.
Great.
Does that make sense, sir?
Gotcha.
But
Yep,
isn't that
yep.
when you figure out your percentage, though, isn't that taking that in consideration?
Forgive me, Patsy, say that one more time.
So when you figure out your percentage, like you have total trips of 668,622. So you're figuring that in by the number of riders. So the percentage should equal no matter if it's 1,000 riders.
Bear in mind that non-ADA are outside of the ADA area. That's our non-ADA service area
Yes,
that's
that's
being.
me.
So I use, forgive me if I'm misunderstanding, okay, Patsy, but your question is if we're taking the number of rides that were late by the total number of rides to come up with that percentage, or did I misunderstand what you're stating?
Ken had asked about the difference percentage, and you had said because there's less non-ADA rides, and that's why the percentage is higher. Well, isn't it figuring percentage of 261,000 rides were non-ADA? And isn't that figuring out those percentage, or those rides and the percentage that were, the onboard time was too long? Help me.
I think, I do. I think I understand what you're trying to say is why is that percentage a couple of percentage higher when we're in the outside or the outskirts of the ADA service area, correct?
Because I'm one who is outside, which is why I've had to step back from using Metro actually, because I am late so many times. I am on board so long that I've had to kind of actually step back from using Metro Mobility.
You have no idea how much that breaks my heart because my whole purpose is to ensure that this is a reliable system that individuals can confidently use. And if we've lost your confidence, well, we really have a lot of work ahead of us, don't we? Because your confidence means a lot. It sincerely does. I don't know if the issue is that we're booking rides. I mean, I know we get a lot of people very upset. They have an appointment at 1 o'clock. They want to be picked up at 12:15. That's 45 minutes. It seems like should it be enough time, but when you're adding several other people onto that route, that 45 minutes may not be enough time to get you there. So how much, you're right, you do have to invest more time when it comes to a rideshare program. And is that a possibility? What factors are going into the fact that we are constantly late for you and never on time? And so now I'm going to go back and research that, okay? And try to figure out exactly why that is and how we can improve upon that. All right, everybody ready? Any further questions?
You do good, Julie. We're following you so far.
Trip request.
Jasmine?
I'm sorry.
Sam, go ahead.
Sorry. Just another comment from me is I am one of those non-ADA people as well, and I have as well discovered that they have a very difficult time of meeting my appointment times. And even if I sometimes will leave for a 5:30 appointment I'm supposed to get maybe a 3:30 pickup. They're after the pickup time, and then they don't make the appointment time. And I know they're not going to make it. They pick me up. They have another person or two on board. I know darn well, but really what gets to me is that they expect me to pay. And I know that I'm going to have to make sure to go through all the trouble to make sure that I'm reimbursed. So I feel like that's kind of a bothersome to me, and it bothers me that I can figure it out. I don't know why they can't. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Sam.
Could I comment on that, please?
Go ahead, Julie.
First of all, I'm going to research your trips as well and see what the issue is,
Well, you might
okay?
as well research all of them. There's 15,000 rides that Ken brought up earlier. I mean, if we're going to cherry pick and just research the members on our committee, then that's not accurate depiction.
No,
of
no,
trying
it's
to
not.
fix
But
the
what it does
system
is
either.
that it gives us a basis to see where the issues are and get those issues corrected. Not for you as individuals, but as the system as a whole.
Right, but I'm saying you could take that scenario, that snapshot scenario anywhere. You could take it on your day programs. You could take it on your Metro, your Metro Micro. You could take it on Metro Move, and you could essentially make the data say whatever you want it to say. So what I'm saying is by taking the time to look at a couple of our members' rides and making sure that they feel more comfortable in riding our system. I mean, I don't know if that's a good use of your time overall.
May I comment to that?
It's a nice gesture to help us, but go ahead, comment.
I don't mean it as a nice gesture, and I don't mean it to make Patsy's rides better. What I use that information for is to see where the system's failing overall
But
and
what
how we improve that. Is it an algorithm issue?
Right, and the reason why I say that is because this algorithm issue, this issue that we're having, Patsy's issues and Sam's issues have not been in a vacuum. They've been happening for a while. So what I'm saying is, let's take their names out of it. Let's say that it happens throughout our system.
Right.
And let's look
Well,
at
it does happen throughout the system because we're at 93%, not 100%. So you
But
always are going to have.
We're never gonna be at 100% because we don't wanna be at 100%. So that's just it. Every time the feds give us a different scenario to reach, we pull back on the way that we calculate that data and we disperse that data out. So I mean, to say that you want to be at 100% is great. It's good. Good job, security. You'll be here for a while to say that. But because at 93% is good too, and 97% is good too. But we're never. But at the same time, we're only at those numbers because we're screwing up in other areas and other spaces where we could do better.
I don't think there's a system alive that can't improve. And we always need to be focused on that improvement.
Sure.
But where is the focus and is it actually causing improvement? We show tremendous improvement in the Metro Mobility program in the last 24 months, especially in the last 12 months. The I-time performance, the vehicles fit for duty, that's the wrong language to use, meaning that after COVID, our fleet was very old. Right. Now, we're sitting with 75% that is year 223 and newer. Right. We've done a lot to try to improve things. The thing that we're having with issues in routing, we already know what the part of that solution is for that improvement, and that's driver made. We just got to get the bugs out of the system so we can make it work right. Yeah. To implement it means that our service stays the same right now, which is not what we want. We want to see improvement. Right. And I'm not looking for job security. I'm just looking to do the best that I can for all of you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this is Ken. Julie, I've been listening pretty intently to the conversation, and I just have a thought. And this is something very similar that we've discussed in the Olmsted plans and the groups that I'm working with Metro Transit and Department of Transportation, is their goals have always been focused on the end result. And oftentimes, for years, we have been given statistics on the performance of Metro Mobility with ending percentages, that it's the end product. And if our KPI is 90% and we're meeting it at 93%, end of story. We move on. We don't look at that anymore because we're above our minimal requirement for reporting to the feds. Instead, and you probably already do this, but I'm suggesting that maybe more emphasis needs to be placed on in the reports given about how you go about looking at those 15,000 individuals that comprise the percentage that are not met. Do you routinely or randomly call some of those 15,000 individuals and check in with them? What happened? And find out specifics. To me, that focuses on addressing the deficits and not just resting on our laurels of meeting the percentages of the KPI. It really, to me, it shows an extra layer of digging to try to reach out to those people that aren't being met satisfactorily to figure out, is there a pattern? Is there an algorithm problem? What is it that these people are experiencing that we can address? And if that gets our percentages higher, so that's great. But again, I think the emphasis has always been placed on the end result percentages. And it's always been uncomfortable for me to look at those because I always look at the deficits. What's being done with those that aren't being met to see where we can improve the system? And I don't know that, to my understanding, it may very well be a standard practice that you follow. I don't know that because that's never been reported on. So maybe in the future, if that could be part of the report of the problem-solving piece that you've looked at about the people that are not being met.
Oh, yeah.
Have you found any usable data that can help make the system more efficient?
There is a strong time effort put into doing just that on a daily basis. There are multiple rides, random or not, that are pulled where we don't make that time. We're not just pulling the ones that were there within a couple of minutes, but please remember that 15,000 includes people that were 30 seconds late. Okay, so please bear that in mind. Our greatest concern, or one of my greatest concerns, is where are we failing dramatically and how do we correct that? Because that overall is what improves that end percentage that a lot of people don't want to see. But by digging into those details, that's how we improve that end result. So yes, on a daily basis, there are trips where appointment times, scheduled times, onboard times are researched, video is pulled, phone calls are pulled, manifest review, routing is reviewed on each individual ride that we've pulled for that day. So no, we don't just mark up yesterday we were at 89% for appointment time. We look at the worst case scenarios and how do we improve that?
So my suggestion then is if it would be helpful to us as members that are charged with overseeing how Metro Mobility efficiency and program works, if that could be added to part of the reports that you provide, instead of just the ending percentages of being met or not met, and the numbers being met or not met, if you could pull a couple of examples or learnings that have taken place that you found by doing that kind of additional research, I think that would help us understand and really take in consideration that they really are digging into this stuff to try to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah.
We're not getting that kind of information, and I think that's a missed opportunity for all of us.
Right, and I think it's a story, obviously, that Ken is picking up on it, and Julie, you're picking up on it too. I think it's a story that you're good, you'll be comfortable in telling that story, and you're good at telling that story, right, to a committee, right? But we just need more of that detail, more of that deeper dive that you do, and then to tell us, hey, this is what happened when I did that. This is an example of what happened when I chose not to do it, And I mean, if you give us those kind of examples once in a while.
I can give you generic examples. I cannot give you exact details.
You should be able to give us exact details and just redact the names and the addresses and all that. I'm not asking for all those details, but I am asking for, I'm actually asking for actual incidences, actual examples that happen on your system. I'm not asking for names or addresses or anything that you're not required to give me. But you are required to give me actual data, actual incidences that require not just scenarios made up.
I won't give you anything made up. I will give you generic information on
I do not want generic information. And I'm going to call you out on that right now.
Daryl, please allow me to explain, sir. Yeah. If I were looking at you and using one of your trips as an example, I would not walk in here and tell them who the person is. I would not give them. Let me just finish, sir.
Daryl? Yeah, rein it in. She came here as a guest. Julie did, so act like a damn gentleman.
She comes here as
Don't do
a,
imitation Davey here, okay?
who is that gentleman? Is that the gentleman that wanted to speak to us in public comment?
I don't know.
Can we stop the meeting right now? Sorry, Julie. Who are you, sir?
My name is Golderis.
Is he the,
And I'm
is he the gentleman,
sit here
Kevin?
unless you
Oh,
treat
thank
Julie
you.
friendly like that.
Kevin, is
It's
he?
not gonna happen while
is
I'm
he-
here. Otherwise, you're in trouble.
Daryl, he's
Don't
part
be
of
Davey friendly
the,
and
he's
imitate
this
the
gentleman
way that
right here.
Davey friendly talks down to you
what?
guys like, some kind of arrogant.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Yeah, you're
sir.
welcome.
It's okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Julie, you and I will talk about this further, but you can proceed with your comments, okay? Go on.
Sorry, Julie.
Thank you, thank
And
you.
and if he is the gentleman, Kevin, we need to make note of that. And he will not be granted public comment while I'm chairing this meeting.
Good luck with that.
I'm telling you right now.
Anyway, I will
Go
see
ahead,
what,
Julie.
sir, Chair, Vice
Yes.
Chair, back on topic.
Please
I will see what I
proceed.
can do as far as providing more details on the deep dive and the information and how we utilize that. I will be very careful of the information of the individuals. That's what I mean.
Yep.
Please, sir, let me finish. That's what I mean by using the word generic.
I know.
Okay.
I just wanted you to clarify that to.
Please also know that I've tried to be very open with this committee in providing these stats on a monthly basis instead of an annual basis.
Absolutely. Go ahead, Eric.
Thank you, Chair. One quick question. When an operator or a driver completes a trip, dropping off for an appointment or something of that nature, are they aware in the moment if it's a late, are they aware of their
Forgive
stats?
me, some of our disabilities are seen and some are not, and I am not able to make out a word you say.
Yeah, no, of course, yeah, no.
Thank you, sir.
So my question is, are the drivers or the operators aware of their performances when they drop someone off? So let's say I'm I'm making a drive to get someone to an appointment, and that appointment time isn't met. One of the indicators of that 15,000, 16,000. Do the drivers know that in the moment?
They do.
I guess, if you're all into data, all into statistics, and we're all very, very interested
And
in
more
trying.
into problem solving. but
And
I
you're into
use-
problem
yeah.
solving, so it might be an opportunity where you had mentioned, like, you pull videos, you call, you do research, you do all these things, where another easy metric might be if a driver can provide feedback in the moment on this is what happened in that instance, so that way you have another way to compile why some of these metrics aren't being met that are set by Met Council and ADA for 100% on all that kind of stuff. So I was just curious on that.
We do use driver statements as well. If we need
Oh.
further information, we'll have their manager reach out to the driver and provide a written statement if needed.
But I guess it's not required. Well, I knew I was late. I don't have to.
No, but when you're
provide it.
inquisitive as to why something didn't work out and it's not obvious by the routing in the system, that driver's input is invaluable to correcting it.
Yeah.
So everybody's input is very valuable to improving it. I think one of the reasons that Metro Mobility is one of the top performers throughout the United States, we are one of the better models that runs more efficiently than many other metropolitan areas, is because we are so open to that feedback, not just from the passengers, not just from the big wigs that run the data, but from the people that are performing the service, the drivers, dispatchers.
Right. I guess
managers on the ground.
my point, or what I was trying to maybe bring up as a point, is instead of, they know that they didn't meet a metric, but then they don't report on it, but they have to wait until maybe a supervisor or you or someone says, hey, what happened? Where you could build that into a system in which, this trip happened or this metric wasn't met for this reason when it happens in that moment. Or at the end of the day, they have a log, right? They got to keep picking people up and keep providing this valuable service. But there's a way maybe to integrate that information so you have it readily available
And not have to.
and not have to search for it and all that kind of stuff. It's kind of like a day end report. These are the things I didn't hit. These are the metrics I didn't meet. Again, I mean, that's even a part of their contract, right? Like they have contract requirements that they have to meet.
And it is reviewed daily, yes.
Yeah, so it's just an opportunity that I'm trying to bring up of potential sharing the load, carrying the water
like
together, rather than, trying to get supervisors to talk to drivers about an incident that may have happened 3 months ago that they might not even remember because they do a lot of work. So it's just a thought and a recommendation.
No, I like that thought. And we actually use, that's okay, you can leave it there. We actually do receive feedback from drivers constantly, and they do know how they're performing. They do know if they're running on time or if they're running late. They know if they're making those appointment times. They know how their day went. And then that's reviewed with the providers. The provider manager knows how that driver did or how particular routes ran that day. And all of that is on top of. I know it doesn't seem like we are doing that, but it is being done. People do care about how the service is running. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we were on trip request denials, unless there's any other questions. And we still stand as of right now, 2025, with 0 denials. One of the areas we've improved on. The next one is members' questions. Performance standards reviewed on a monthly basis for each provider. Yes, that is done. And then I accumulate that into one system, reporting for all ADA and non-ADA here. I don't think it's vital to break it up by provider, and it's probably providing too much information at that point. Each issues, or if we're having issues with particular providers, that's held up by our ops team to oversee that. Demand of data tracking. Are other areas also tracked for the Metro Mobility Services? We've discussed this in the past too. There are multiple areas that are tracked, two pages long of data points that are tracked. Again, it's getting to the information that's actually going to help us improve and not just track data. And that's what we're focusing on. So going forward, what I will be presenting are just the major key performance indicators. That's pretty much how a paratransit service is graded across the nation. And those KPIs really do tell us how well we're doing. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I'm gonna take the liberty first here, Claudia. On the demand of data tracking and other tracked areas for the Metro Mobility system. Are you looking at the data right now because of Metro Move and how we shifted all of our paratransit, all of our day programs to Metro Move if they could go to? Are we looking at that data and comparing that data and seeing how it either complemented or how it affected our current Metro Mobility system?
In all honesty, my concentration is on the Metro Mobility program and not the Metro Move program.
Right, I understand.
There is a manager that's in charge of that program as well, sir.
But to overlook, to outlay it on top of each other and to see if there's a benefit or a deficit, I mean, that's something that you could look at yourself to see.
I haven't done that personally, no.
Okay. Well, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Julie, first, just to address, we take public comment at the end of the period.
I have a question for Carol and also for
correct, and you can definitely address any questions or talk about anything you want in public comment.
That's not true. In my comments, I'm going to use up my full three minutes, which you guys have, really only have 3 minutes and that's it.
Out of order.
I just want to express that, I mean, during an official meeting, there's a time for when public comment can commence, and that's during the public comment
questions
period.
are allowed from the taxpayer?
No, not during a meeting and when we're in official topics on our agenda, okay?
It'll be okay.
You really need to stop pressing issues or raising comments when
Okay,
a
then I
committee
have
is
3
at.
minutes to respond to Julie's presentation.
You'll have your public comment period, of course. I'm not
No,
taking that.
I have 6 minutes then. I requested a full minute a week ago, and I talked to 2 people here at Metropolitan. Neither one of them ever bothered to get out.
This is out of order.
Sir, please, wait till public comment, okay?
Out of order, I'm gonna ask Julie to finish up her comments. And
Yeah, I still have a.
Go
just a
ahead, Eric,
question.
sorry about that.
So Julie, I hate for you to have to repeat anything, but I know this was brought up by Chair Fenley about kind of what data points.
Right,
you
and
know,
we're taking those out of it
But-
right now by her.
No, my point is, if during the next update, could you have this slide back up for Chair Fenley? Because I think he had particular wants into kind of understanding maybe the data a little deeper, but I want to give him an opportunity to review this as well. So it would be a recap. It's not the whole presentation, of course, but just if you could include this slide in the next presentation. Okay. My last comment is, I had it written down here. Through this data, you're finding that TAC is very excited about the opportunities that we can find in improving some of the metrics that we're seeing, right? I would say overall, when you look at the percentages, I think we're doing great. I think you're doing great. I think we do provide a great service. But when we see the numbers broken out, as you have shown, which is really beneficial to Mr. Rodgers' point, you look at the people behind it, right? And there's 16,000. And we all agree, like, that's unacceptable, and we work towards finding solutions. So I just wanted to say I appreciate you breaking out these numbers the way you do, and providing us the opportunity to see kind of where some cracks are and try to help facilitate those solutions. Things like you had mentioned, during the construction season is more difficult. And I think anyone who lives in Minnesota understands that. The construction season every summer is not going away. It could get worse based on funding and things. We could see more projects. But those are opportunities where if we identify and say, well, it's in the summer and it's due to construction, how can we make those improvements, things like that. And we've talked about wayfinding opportunities where maybe we're a little lacking with static maps that can't help reroute our drivers or our operators to find more efficient routes, or on the front end or prior to pre-planning, like we know there's going to be a construction season. How can we better orchestrate our fleets to facilitate better times where we know construction is going to happen, right? MnDOT, counties, even cities provide great information on upcoming construction projects where there's road closures, detours, and things like that. But then on the other side of the seasonal aspect, we have winters too, and sometimes we see dips in performances then due to big major storms, things like that. That's Mother Nature. What can we do about that? But bringing it back, I just want to say I definitely appreciate how far the data has come in these presentations and where you're taking it. So definitely appreciate it, and I hope you accept our excitement as a good thing and an opportunity to work with you. As, again, Mr. Rodgers mentioned, we are tasked with, providing recommendations and some oversight on these aspects, and we're very passionate about it. So again, I appreciate your time.
I appreciate your passion. I have that passion as well, so thank you.
Thank you. We all do, and thank you, Julie, for hanging in there with us. You're doing a great job.
Julie, I do have a question.
Oh, Julie, somebody has a question for you.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Whatever you were doing, Julie, go ahead.
No, that's okay.
She was going back to her desk.
I have a couple suggestions. Number one, how can we make it better for someone if they lose their appointment somewhere and they are sitting someplace waiting for a ride, to make it so that it's easier for them to get a same-day trip to go back home. I've heard people saying they missed their appointment, they got 2 hours to wait before their appointment or their ride, and the dispatch says no. So something to make it easier for them to get back home. And then the other one is the go-to card machine. I don't know if you can do that or not, but they're not working. I've had so many rides where the go-to card machine has not worked.
Okay, I will dig into that as well.
So
And I
if
know
you
the
can check into
frustration.
that, I'd appreciate it, because I don't know how much money Metro's losing because of that.
Yeah, and we can't afford that. So I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. Thank you. I will look into that.
Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Sam Jasmine?
Sam, go ahead. You got her. She's standing up. She's
Sorry.
ready. She's ready to leave, but now she's sitting down for you, Sam.
So thank you. For your knowledge, I know that I'm going to address for Claudia too, because I know the go-to cards don't work a lot. Right. And so I have a question for you in regards to that, because I get mixed answers. So I wanted to ask you, once upon a time I was told, because my go-to card didn't work often, and I know it works because I was able to use it, they would just say their machine wasn't working, and so that I'm sure would come up to a lot of lost revenue for you. And then somebody told me, oh, we just take it out when the driver writes it down. We just take it off your card, and I'm like, really? And then I was told that we can't take it off your card, or only if they're instructed to. So which is it? Can they take it off your card or not?
And forgive me, it's 100% my fault, but I am not understanding your words.
Oh, I'm
can
sorry.
anybody repeat it for me?
So I can paraphrase it a little bit for Sam if she doesn't mind. What she was wondering is, do they take dollars off your go-kart if the go-kart isn't working? Do they take it off later? Do they not take it off? Are they not allowed to? She wants to know, what is the real answer on that?
For the most part, if you have a negative balance, you put funds back onto your card, those negative balances will be deducted from that balance.
What if the card wasn't working?
Right.
Actually, what if her card,
So if
she
the
goes
Or
home
the
and
machine
it
wasn't
didn't work?
working, the card's
You know
working,
what,
the
there are
machine-
resources where they can contact MMSC or they can contact Metro Transit, and we can work through whatever issues they're having with the card.
But what she wants to know, clarifying question, does she get charged eventually for that ride that never got billed for?
It depends on whether or not the card is working or not, and if the card recorded that transaction.
Could I give it a try?
Okay, can
Yes,
I just
please.
jump in my question?
Please, Sam, and then,
My question was, if the machine isn't working, not my card works. If the machine's not working, will they go in later and take it off, or is it something that they eat?
So her question is, if the machine isn't working, is that something that will get charged later?
Not if the machine isn't
Correct.
working, it wouldn't have an ability to embed that transaction
but
onto the
then
card.
why did the driver say a bunch of different things then?
Could I give this a
The
shot
driver
and
didn't
see?
say it, somebody else
Okay,
did.
Sorry.
I've got
So
my Metro Mobility card here. If I put it on the machine does not work. The driver does the number one. Would the driver have the capacity that even if the machine is not working, the driver sees that I have the Metro Mobility card, does he write something up that
What he marks on his manifest is whether or not the card worked or not. That's what they do have to track.
could,
But individuals going back into their file and making sure that they're charged,
no, I guess, so the driver, I forgot that word, so the driver notes that my card is or is not. What am I trying to say?
The driver does
I
not
think
know if
you're-
your card's
I think you're
working. If
trying
his
to say
machine's
that
not
if-
working, he would not know that.
sorry, this was so confusing.
Could the driver note
Does the driver write down a fair refusal or a non-payment if the car does not work? I think that's what we're getting at.
No, then it's marked that the equipment isn't working.
Okay.
Does that get to your question?
I think so. Sam, does that make sense to you, Sam? That the driver notes that
His machine's not
I
working.
wasn't meaning for this to become an avalanche. I was just wanting to know that if the driver said that machine is not working today, can they go back and charge the cards or not?
Oh.
And it sounds like they cannot. So my idea is that you guys are losing a whole bunch of money because there are many days that I go on the bus where the machine itself, not my card, the machine is not working.
Yep.
And there seems to, we need to do something because that's just horrible for you guys to lose all that revenue. And of course it's going to cause problems down the road.
Well, and a lot of times it's mostly a cycle issue. You know, if you take a driver that is coming on a second shift or a third shift, right? And they forget to cycle their bus or cycle their machine, then a lot of times I'll be the first one to use that Go machine. And if the driver's not comfortable with it, they will often say, my machine doesn't work today or whatever. And I think that's what Sam's trying to avoid, to say, hey, is there a practice where if the machine's not working, then do we get billed later? Or do you guys track that at some level? Because like she said, you're losing out in revenue.
It is tracked on whether or not the client paid or not. If it's equipment error, that shouldn't go back onto the client. More to the point, what's really important is that if you're having issues with your cards, to either contact us or Metro Transit, and note that any equipment issues that a driver may be experiencing is reported and looked at immediately as well when it returns to base.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you.
Nice job, Julie. Thank you. All right, and next we have, what do we have next? We have let me do it. Do we have a purple? We have a blue. Anything on the blue line, Ken? As long as I got you here.
So in your packet for today's meeting, there is a blue line update. And we have not had a meeting in several months, and our meeting that was scheduled for next week has been canceled. It was a joint meeting to be held with the Central Management Committee and the CAC Committee. Those have been canceled, and the reasons they've been canceled is in your packet. Makes sense. We're waiting for some additional federal reports to move forward. We're currently at about 60% engineering. The environmental impact statement has been completed and submitted and responded to by public, and that should be accepted in the next month or two, and at which time the light rail system will then be applying for final, I don't know what it's called, there's a term, final stages or final steps in which we will then officially apply for funds. Funds have not been officially applied for. We're still meeting preliminary engineering steps. But after that gets done, we should be close to 90% engineering completion. And then we'll be turning our efforts into talking about the specifics at each platform and ensuring that accessibility is made throughout the system. So there's nothing really to report other than what's in that report. And I would really urge you to read it. It's not long, but it really gives you an idea of where we are.
Ken, I might have missed that report. If you can send that to me again, or I'll just have Kevin send it to me again, but I might have missed it.
Yeah, it's in with the minutes and the agenda.
Okay.
There was nothing there that I seen. Anybody else? No.
Yeah.
Was it in the body? Yeah.
I don't think we got anything tangible. It may be in the email, but maybe at the next meeting if we could have it printed out.
I can print it out.
Yeah, so we'll at least have it by the next meeting.
Like they always do.
Okay.
Did we just miss it because it was something we normally don't see?
Yeah, it wasn't normally there, so I'll redo it.
All right, well, thank you, Ken, for that update. That's really good news. As far as the Purple Line update, I don't have anything officially. They canceled a couple of the CBEC meetings, and also I heard that we're having some hiccups in my area of the transit space in the Maplewood area. So we're doing some re-engagement in the community. And we're gonna come back with another plan, hopefully early this fall. So I'll have more to update you then on that wonderful plan. But one thing I will say is that our mayor is trying to change the name of it because she says the Purple Line has some negative connotations attached to it. And what we're saying is the Purple Line, in Minnesota at least, has some positive vibes. And the feds would have never agreed to naming it the Purple Line if we thought that there was negative language attached to it. So that's something we'll have to work out probably in private, or if you can reach out to the mayor and say, let's keep the Purple Line for the East Metro. She would love to hear you about that. So, and next on our agenda would be, I guess we're into the wonderful issues about public comment. And I am going to hold you, sir, to a 3-minute time limit. I would have given you a minute more, but I was told earlier today that would have been showing you favoritism, and I would have given you that favoritism, but to have outburst in our committee while we're meeting was not appropriate. But I will give you.
I'm sorry, what was not appropriate?
I will give you 3 minutes right now.
Okay, we're done. I got my 3 minutes, right? Okay. Let's first of all, okay, two things
make sure
that happened today. Okay, you know, if you don't put it right to me, you're going to hear from the subcommittees, transportation subcommittees of both the state legislature and the House. So please don't interrupt again and be that rude. It's inexcusable. Okay, first of all, I want to say I was late coming in here, and I think I disturbed the meeting by being late. Then I disturbed the meeting because I wasn't aware. I kind of assumed it's a taxpayer who supports, the Metropolitan Council, which supports you. I just kind of assumed that I could speak up, so I didn't speak up. But I'm not going to apologize for any of those things because they weren't my fault at all. The fact that I came late, that's because I was, okay, you can stop it. Is there a timekeeper here that keeps track of 3 minutes and stop?
I'm watching the timer. That's why I'm asking him to.
Great. Then
keep
shut up.
going.
Shut up.
I'm not interrupting you.
God.
Hey, somebody better stop this now.
Do me a favor
We're just
and
gonna
stop.
quit.
Every time he's being rude, stop the stopwatch. Could you please? I'm sorry, what's your name?
You were giving him more than 3 minutes anyway. That's what I was talking about. Give him his 3 minutes and let him start. Next time you interrupt, you're not talking at all. Give him 3 minutes from this time. Let's start. Go.
So, the fact that I was late, that's because, despite all the great efforts of this is my Metro Mobility driver here. This is Mike. This is the TAC, Mike. And so Mike, because of various operational issues with Metro Mobility, extending all the way from the computer apps and the website of Metro Mobility's various levels, as well as the customer service, both you guys have a service center up in New Hope, Minnesota. You have another one on the islands of Cebu and the island of Laguna in the Philippines, and because of a lot of those things, that's why Mike and I got delayed getting here. That's why I was late interrupting the meeting. Okay, now, so that's I'm not going to apologize because that wasn't my fault, but that's what happened. Okay, next thing. Also, well, I already apologize for interrupting because I didn't realize what the issue was. Now, as far as interrupting, as far as Julie, okay. Well, I think all of you should be ashamed of yourselves for sitting here and letting Paulson browbeat and abuse Julie the way you did. I'm frankly embarrassed and ashamed as a taxpayer that none of you stood up for Julie and said, my God, Paulson, how can you treat a woman like this? How can you treat one of your fellow TAC members like this? How can you be so abusive of Julie? Shame on you all. Okay, now I'm going to go, but before I get to my, full 3 minutes of comments, Gerald, I'm going to...
You're almost at the end.
Oh, you shut up. Just shut up. You know what? There's disabled people like me out there who are not getting rights from Metropolitan because you can't curb your ego. So curb your ego and shut up. You need to either curb your ego or you could leave the meeting. All right? Just stop. Okay, now I want to talk to you about one of the things that Julie's going to do while she's here. You guys made a great hire. Julie's a fabulous hire. But Julie's smart enough to know that according to the principles of modern management of nonprofit organizations, I don't want to yell, but if I have to talk over you, you're done. Got it? The state legislature will see that you're done. And if you think I'm saying I'm a maniac, when I say that, just fucking try me out. And otherwise, you can leave the room or be quiet. Okay.
You got 15
Julie here is
more seconds, you're done. 15 seconds, that's it.
Okay, Julie is very familiar with the principles of modern management of governmental organizations like this one. So one of the fundamental principles of management of government organizations, and this is what Julie's going to do while she's here. Julie has certain variables to work with, and she's trying to achieve certain objectives because Julie wants to make Metro Mobility as successful as possible. There's different variables that Julie has of resources. She has to optimize what percentage percentage is going to have to achieve those. So, in other words, I've heard several people today make reference to the idea that, well, our target shouldn't be 85 or 60 or 90%. We want to be 100%. That's what I heard people say today. Well, Julie's not going to be able to do 100%. Why? Because that wouldn't be the economically optimal set of resource allocation. Julie's going to have to figure out, and Julie will do this. Julie will figure out, okay, as far as what percentage the data she comes and presents to you, when she said we're at 85%, 90%, 95% target level. What Julie has to figure out is take these business management or governmental management variables, and then with those variables, she's got to figure out what targets do we want at 95, what do we want at 80, what do we want at 95? Because if you try to hit 100% target on all your variables, you're never going to do it. It's just basic business management. You're going to fall short. So Julie's job is to find the optimal percentage targets and hit those. That's the only way she's going to succeed at doing a great job. And I'm very committed, despite certain interruptions to taxpaying members of the public. I'm very committed to make sure that Julie's very successful. And she's got the brains to know how to optimize her resources using modern theories of business management. All right, now I'm going to begin my 3 minutes of comments.
You're not.
Okay, now, one other thing I wanted to point out, the other reason why I was late today.
You're done. I've given you 6 minutes total. You're done.
You know what? I care more about the disabled people who are, mentally.
You're done. 6 minutes. 6 minutes for the record.
I got a suggestion for you.
Let the record show. 6 minutes.
Call the police, have me forcibly removed, and then I'll come back.
He's done. 6
Turn
minutes
the microphone
total.
off.
Okay. Another reason why I was late is because certain people, how do you pronounce his name? Kevin Petrie? Is he here?
Yes.
Hi, Kevin. Pleased to meet you. I'm honored to meet you. Thank you. Unfortunately, the thing is, Kevin's had an extremely busy week. And I called a week ago, asked to have, if I could have the full 15 minutes. I know you have.
It's a 3 minute window. 3 minutes. I give you 6 minutes. You're no longer gonna run the show, sir. I've asked him to be stopped so we can proceed with the end of our meeting. Otherwise, I'm gonna call for adjournment of the meeting, and we're done.
So anyways, Kevin's had a very busy week.
Unfortunately,
Kevin wasn't able to give me any answer until today about if I can have more than 3 minutes or not. And also, Kevin didn't tell me that he had construction, so that's why I was late. So now let me talk about Metro Mobility. I'm going to tell you a lot about the operations of Metro Mobility that you may not know. How it works both in the United States and in the Philippines, where your headquarters are, and we'll go over that.
Give me them.
Okay.
We're out. We've adjourned.
Okay.
So moved.
Make it a great day, Kevin. Make it a great day.
Thank you. Bye all.
Our meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye, all.